I hope you're well. I hope the sun is out where you are because it's a little bit chilly here in Nairobi, just a little bit. But I hope you're okay. And of course, don't worry, we'll try as much as possible and brighten your day because the topic that we have today is awesomely amazing because it will, help you learn more on eating disorders. So, and of course, eating disorders, though commonly held with a view of a lifestyle choice, is actually very serious and can be fatal and, of course, bring fatal illnesses. And as well as, you might end up struggling with illnesses and conditions that probably you did not want to. So today we'll be focusing on eating disorders. And I know you're asking, so what are eating disorders? How do I know that I have that condition, that is the eating disorder and all that? Well, not to worry, because with me, I have two beautiful women who will help us understand what eating disorders are all about. So well, without further ado, let me introduce our guests for today. And of course, to my immediate, this is left, left.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sure. Is Faith. Kindly, Faith, introduce yourself. But first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm well.
You're
Thank
well.
You.
All right. So kindly introduce yourself.
My name is Faith Mite. I'm a counseling psychologist. I basically deal with children, teenagers, and youth, and young adults.
All right.
Yes, and the issues that they face.
Okay.
Yes.
And actually, the young people, especially the teenagers, go through this phase of eating disorders a lot.
It's very common because of self-image. Because at that point in time when you're a teenager, a youth, because you're looking to identify yourself with someone, so. And media has a way of shaping, the perfect look. Like you have to be a certain way in order to be acceptable among your friends. Yeah. You have to be a certain way.
Yeah.
So this is common because the teenagers are developing at that point in time.
True.
So they tend to engage in this disorders.
All right, of course, we'll delve much into that. Of course, and to my further left, okay, you'll have to do this, left, right?
Yes.
Kindly introduce yourself.
My name is Dr. Batul Mzefankupi, and I'm a medical officer. Also work at Bliss Medical Care Provider.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And before we even define what eating disorder is, Dr. Is this a medical condition? Is it psychological? Is it more or less to do with nutrition?
Oh, well, we can, eating disorder, it can be all of those, because at the end of the day, it does fall under mental illnesses, mental disorder, which generally it is a medical condition, again nutritional and again psychological at the same time.
It falls in all the places.
Yes.
All right, now let's go back to the basics, eating disorders. How would you define it in the most simplest way that we will understand?
I think eating disorders in layman's language would be unusual behavior around food. So either you're overeating or you're eating and then purging, that either or vomiting or using laxative to reduce or to remove the food, and this other one.
Avoiding.
Yes, avoiding of eating food. So it's just abnormal behavior around food, and this has to be to a particular length of time. You can be, if you skip lunch today, that is not abnormal. You might skip lunch because of a few reasons. Let's say you you had a heavy breakfast and then lunch you forgot. That is not abnormal. Yes, so that is the simplest.
All right, so let's define abnormal because besides the show we sort of said not even some of us, all of us might have the tendency of the abnormal eating disorder. So what do you consider now this is a condition, this is very, very serious? So to what extent do you consider that this is a serious case and you must seek help? So let's define.
So I will say eating disorder, if I want to define it, it's actually it's a serious condition, and more oftenly it's fatal and life-threatening, due to abnormal, like she said, abnormal eating behavior. And this can be attributed to somebody's conception on their body shape, body weight, and what else? body shape and body weight. Yeah.
They have a
they have a distorted
image,
misconception
like
of
you
their,
see yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh my God, I'm fat. I'm really fat.
But in real sense.
And in the real sense, when I see you, you're okay.
Yeah.
But you feel like I'm really fat. I don't look good, so I have to lose weight. I have to find ways
to fit in. Yes,
to fit in. So most of the people would exercise excessively, or skip meals, or binge eat, and then purge, or use laxatives in order to like maintain a certain body image.
Yes. So would you say to some extent has something to do with esteem, like someone's esteem, in the sense that they think, well, I need to look a certain way for people probably to accept me, or for people to see me or to respect me, you know, in this way?
And actually, like I will say, we have a number of eating disorder, but for the most common three, that will be anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, and what you call binge eating. That will be the most prominent factor, whereby self-esteem comes in. It's self-esteem comes when like you need that acceptance from the society, from your peer, you know. Even professionalism, there are other profession whereby you are being told athletes, you need to be in certain shape or, you know, like size for you to be in that profession. So yeah, self-esteem, I would say it's a prominent factor in this, you know, like affecting
all the
this
three
condition. Yes.
All right, and just a reminder of viewers that we are live, so that means you can call in any time from now, ask any question that you have in regards to today's topic, and that is on eating disorders. And of course, we have professionals here. We have a psychologist and a doctor who will answer all your questions in regards to today's topic. Now, we talked about teenagers, you know, who are prone to eating disorders. But who else? Do we have, let's say, adults? Or any other? So who are this other group that...
You can have adults, and mostly you see this eating disorders are associated, or rather there's a higher percentage where women suffer from these disorders, unlike men. But it's not like men do not also suffer from these disorders, but it's more prominent in women. You can also find an older lady being anorexic or being overweight, having they engage in binge eating and this abnormal eating disorders, because let's say I'm a model, like I want to be like Tyra Banks, and I'm 35, so I really want to look, you know, fit and skinny, and so I'd continue in my anorexic behaviors, you know, like eat and then throw up or vomit or use laxatives. So you can find people who are way older, much like they're no longer teenagers, they're no longer youth, they're not much older.
All right, but still affected by this.
Age tendency, like she's saying, mostly it affects what you call teenagers and young adults, especially for anorexia and bulimia. When you talk about binge eating, it is seen that it's mostly seen in men and older age, maybe above 40, not necessarily, but above 40 ml. But then again, like she said, it doesn't have like a constriction whereby you say like this is just, you know, like occurring in this certain age. They occur in, you know, like all that spectrum of age, but we have those specific age set where the tendency is higher. Yes.
Right. And does it affect more women than men, or is it almost the same?
Okay, like I said, we have a number of them, like for bulimia and anorexia, whereby like it affects more of female gender, whereby binge eating, it might affect, you know, like the male gender mostly. Yes.
Okay. All right. Now we talked about anorexic, we talked about binge eating, we talked about bulimia. Someone will be like, oh, okay, so what are those? So let's begin with, you know, talking about each of those, you know, comprehensively, so that we can all understand and then know where we fall, that is, if someone is watching us and you know, are having eating disorder. So let's start with anorexia. What exactly is it, and who is mostly affected, and what usually happens?
Anorexia nervosa is it's abnormally seeing yourself like you're fat, or so you tend to want to look a certain way. So you either excessively engage in exercise too much, or force yourself to vomit after eating. which other way can you lose weight? Like,
Yes.
you know, you look for ways in which you can actually be as slim as possible. It's an obsessive, it's like an obsession that you have, that I have to look in a particular way, or you think that people want you to look like in a particular way. Let's say for the guys who are like athletes, models, ballerina, or is it ballet, or is it ballerina? Ballerina, yeah.
Yes.
So there are certain professions, and even which other ones? Artists at times, you know, they want to look a certain way. So so you engage in these eating behaviors that are not healthy, because now, let's say in a meal I'm supposed to take lunchtime, let's say for example lunchtime, so I'd take like vegetables and maybe a slice, you know, a really tiny portion of let's say broccoli or skuma wiki, or, and you know, and you're thinking I've already exceeded my calories for today. You're calculating, you know, you're calculating your calories. You're like, I've eaten today, let's say what, I don't know what,
an apple,
an apple, and you're like, this is enough for lunch, and it will take me through until supper. And when it gets to supper time, you take maybe something ridiculous, you know,
like a slice of like a piece of carrot.
Yes, like a piece of carrot, and then you sleep, and then you call it a day. Tomorrow breakfast you skip because you're feeling I think I took too much yesterday. Kwanza carrot has sugar, so my day I've added, you know. So it's just an abnormal behavior around food. That's for anorexic, and you go to lengths to
ensure that you
maintain that. And so after eating, you would, most of them avoid people. So we have eaten right now, then I'd go and hide. And then after hiding, and go and purge and vomit so that you guys don't see that I've done that. But in the real sense, you think we've eaten together and I'm cool. So that's one of the behaviors.
And let's talk about the health complications to this, because I mean, at the end of the day, we're always advised to, one, eat healthy, and then two, ensure that your diet has at least carbohydrates, it has it has vitamins.
Balanced.
Yes, it's balanced. But you see, for this person does not take like a balanced diet. So Dr. Ai, what health complications can this lead to?
So if I might add to what my colleague has said here, first of all, anorexia nervosa, it's whereby, like she said, you have that misconception, like I'm fatter than, you know, you have that obsession of, you know, like your body, be it weight, be it shape. And here, when we talk about anorexia nervosa, it's whereby like your body is already thin. I mean, like your BMI is under normal. Yes, it's under normal. So, and a normal BMI is between 18.5 to 24.9 there, 24.9 there. So anything that is below, you know, like 17 and such going down, that is underweight. That is abnormal BMI. And for anorexia nervosa, it's where people, they have those, you know, abnormal, underweight BMIs. Okay. So for anorexia nervosa, it's not like they're normal. They're not normal at all. The BMI is not normal. But when I look in the mirror, I see myself, oh my God, I'm fat. Or maybe like a you know, like a part of my body, you know, like my hips are fatter than the rest of my body. So I need to lose that. Yeah. So what they do is really restrict themselves, like exaggerately, such that they lose that even like 1 ounce of body fat or body flesh. When it comes to health complication or health impact from anorexia nervosa, we have a length of them, whereby these people, they really deny themselves all that nutrition. So we're talking about, you know, like malnutrition. We talk about, you know, like micronutrient, whereby they're low. We're talking about potassium, calcium here, where they're low. We're talking about dehydration. These people, they have dehydration. Even drinking water or drinking something for them, like it's a big deal. So when we talk about anorexia nervosa, we have two types. We have one type that is restrictive, whereby this person, like she said, she's gonna take like 1 apple, and they have rituals when they're eating. Like me or you'll take 1 apple and take bites on them. But for anorexia nervosa, they'll take this apple and then they will chop
them.
it and
Yeah.
you know, in tiny
Oh, they
bits
believe
such
they have
that
to
you
eat
eat
it
it
Yes, they have to eat it
exactly.
in a
Yeah.
certain way.
Wow.
Maybe
okay.
if I eat the way I bought it, I'm going to gain more weight. But when
Exactly.
I,
That is just the
so
belief
yeah,
that
they
they-
have
okay.
this mentality, because it's a mental disorder at the end of the day, and it's mentally disturbed kind of thing, yeah. And we have something called, like she say, binge eating. But then, we call binge eating, and then where they purge, yeah. So they will eat and they purge. But there's a difference here. We have bulimia and nervosa, whereby bulimia and nervosa, they have normal BMI or over, yeah. But for anorexia, they have under.
Under, yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Under.
That's a distinctive, like how we would differentiate, like someone who's bulimic and anorexic.
Anorexic.
So we have a
Okay.
trend whereby bulimia nervosa can progress to
To
anorexia
anorexia.
nervosa.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And then can it also lead to depression?
Yes, it
Of
can
course.
lead to depression. Like most of the time, like some of these people have underlying issues before they get to that point. So it can lead to depression eventually because of the eating behaviors. And you know, after indulging in such a behavior, you feel guilt. There's you feel like oh,
guilt.
what have I done?
Yeah.
I think this is wrong. But then again, you still continue to the same
Yes. The same
pattern.
trend, yes.
So now it becomes a pattern of blame game. What have I done? And then you're like, okay, then let me try and sort this out. And then you go back.
Okay.
So it becomes a circle. And you see, when it's a circle, you feel helpless. And you don't want,
Self-disgust.
self-disgust, as she's saying, and you don't want people to know. So eventually it can lead to depression.
All right.
and anxiety issues and maybe drugs, the use of drugs. So it has connections to so many so many issues.
Yes. And depression.
And
into them.
depression
All
is
right.
one of them.
And then do we have symptoms for this anyway,
For
let's talk,
anorexia.
yes, for anorexia.
Yes, there are symptoms that you can see. Let's say if I've been with you for, let's say I've known you for about a year now, and then I start seeing that you're losing weight drastically, not in a normal manner.
Yes.
I'm starting to see your cheekbones being pronounced, and your eyes are looking some sort of way. Your hair you might start losing
hair.
your hair, or they look like they lack nutrients or something. You know,
Yeah.
you start seeing you're losing weight. Your appearance is not. It's just not normal.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
And maybe she can add some of the examples of you
Yeah.
know.
So wherever we're talking about anorexia nervosa, and the same will apply to like bulimia nervosa.
Bulimia and binge eating,
bulimia
yeah.
nervosa. So the symptoms here, first for anorexia nervosa, first you'll see this person is wasting.
True.
We have muscle wastage, right? We have something called dehydration.
Oh,
They are
yeah.
dehydrated. They have dry skin. The hair, like she said, it becomes thin because of the nutrient. Yeah, and other symptoms whereby they come to us. I mean doctors, whereby you'll see this person. Low blood pressure, they have low blood
true.
pressure, they have low pulse rate, they have maybe low temperatures, they are always cold. We have something called acrocyanosis, whereby you'll see the extremities, the hand and feet, they turn blue because of the circulation, blood circulation, and because of dehydration. So when it comes to, like I said in the beginning, this kind of disorders, often they can be fatal and life-threatening. Yeah.
All right. Okay, and then let's cross over to bulimia nervosa. Although we talked about it a little bit, but now, of course, this is binge eating. But someone can be like, so what's the difference between now the binge eating disorder and the bulimia nervosa?
Bulimia nervosa would be the one you eat and then you punch.
Okay.
So
it's more or less the same as...
It's more or less the same, but that one is
anorexia, yeah.
avoiding food
All right.
totally. With anorexia, you avoid food, you watch exactly what you're eating. But this other one, we will eat whatever food we're eating.
Okay.
We'll eat lunch properly. We'll eat chicken. We'll eat,
Chocolate,
ice cream.
All
But
the happy
after
places.
that,
Yes.
I'll go behind, like I'll go to the washroom and then throw up.
Okay.
And then punch,
All right.
and then use laxatives or you know, these drugs to help me lose weight or help me like punch.
Okay.
So that's the difference. That's a major difference.
All
This one
right.
you eat food, and this other one you
avoid.
Yes.
All right.
Or
And then
if there is, very minimal.
all right. And then let's quickly talk about some of the behaviors for compensating, you know, on overeating, very quickly before we go for break.
Okay, for bulimia nervosa, the inappropriate compensatory tools whereby they use, like she said, we have laxative, we have emetics, whereby like I'll use either medical, you know, like a stimulant for me to gag myself, or rather I will use toothbrush on my hand. And you'll see in these people, they have classes. You see this side of their knuckles, they're so hard because of putting their mouth, their hands in the mouth too. Stimulate the vomiting.
All right.
Yeah.
Another thing also, they will use what you call diuretics also. We have drugs that, you know, it makes urinate more often than not. So these are the number of tools whereby they will use as inappropriate compensatory tools. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to go for a very short break right now, but of course when we come back we'll talk about more on binge eating. And just in case you have any question for our guests today, feel free to call in live and we'll answer any question that you have. But for now, we need to take a very short break. We'll be right after. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. This is My Doctor. And of course, today we're talking about eating disorders. And just in case you know someone who is suffering from the same, or probably like you watching us and you notice that you are developing, you know, eating disorders, kindly call us in with any question that you have in regards to today's topic. And our guest here will answer all your questions. Now, before we went for break, we were talking about bulimia nervosa. And it's more or less the same as anorexia nervosa. But now, of course, when it comes to complications, I tend to think there could be slight difference in terms of the complications. So can we briefly talk about it before we go to binge eating?
Okay.
I think she'll be in a position.
Okay, So when you talk about bulimia nervosa, first of all, we're talking about this person. It's almost everything, but then again, even before absorption of the food nutrient, they go, you know, like and they gag it out. So we're talking about gastrointestinal complication here, whereby one, and that is really, I think, common and also, I think, also embarrassing, it's halitosis. Halitosis is whereby we have this foul smelling, or mouth foul smelling, because of all that, you know, like regurgitation, or rather, you know, vomiting of the food. So that leaves it there. We have dental complication also, because all this acid, discoloring and all that. We have something even in reproductive system for women, whereby like it does affect their menstrual cycles. It can be either irregular, or rather they can, you know, like it can cease, and that we call amenorrhea. We're also talking about psychological also, whereby here we talk about depression and anxiety. We talk about low self-esteem. We talk about being disgusted with yourself. And another thing also, and this is very serious, whereby we go to cardiac complication. In cardiac complication, when we talk about malnutrition, we talk about this micronutrient, whereby calcium and potassium and magnesium, they become so low, whereby when we have potassium that is low, we call it hypokalemia, and also it does affect the conduction of the heart, whereby it can bring arrhythmia and such.
All right. And would you want to also focus
on
the psychological part?
Psychological part, it's the issues, what she's mentioned. It might bring anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem, like the way you look at yourself, the body image, and so those are some of the effects.
Of the complications. All right, now let's talk about binge eating, which I am certain that almost all of us.
They say, I read someone, you know someone who has this disorders, eating disorders, and I think most of the time it's the binge eating. Yes, so everyone, viewers at home, you have to know someone, as in you,
or even yourself.
Yes, myself. I know of a number of people who are binge eating. Yes. So, and it's a disorder, and most of the people, you know, they do not know that it's an eating disorder. Like, I'd give you an example. when you go back home, look at Ushago.
Yeah.
You know where you come from. These days, I think it's, you know, like, how would I say this? In the former days, a long time ago, you wouldn't, once upon a time, you wouldn't like find people with this eating disorders back at home in the rural areas. But these days, they're very common.
Okay.
They're very common. Someone can be uko Ushago, uko Kerugo and Dani, but they have this like the binge eating because now you'd find them they're overweight.
Yeah.
And so people have stopped taking part in exercises or going to the farms digging because they have employed people to help them in that, which is not bad.
Yeah.
But now you see, when you do that, you should also watch the intake of the food that you take.
Yeah.
Yes. So you have to be knowing someone.
All right.
You have to be knowing
But
someone.
okay. So how do you quantify that I am binge eating? Because I mean, I might have something for breakfast and then let's say 10 o'clock I take something, and then before lunch I take something, and then after I take something. So, and all of us, I would say, almost do the same.
Yes.
So how would you quantify that this is now a disorder? This is not normal.
Yeah. So here we have binge eating, and then we have binge eating disorder.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, binge eating.
It's binge eating disorder. Okay.
Right.
So I'm sure, I don't know about you guys, but I know I've had binge eating before. And and binge eating is whereby you eat, okay, an exaggerately amount of food that is not normal, and you eat even if you're not hungry, okay, and you eat in such a way that you get to the position, you get to the point where you are uncomfortably full. You are you're full and you're uncomfortable.
But you still eat
it. Yeah, you still eat it.
All right.
So that is binge eating. But when we talk about binge eating disorder, it's when we have these kind of episodes whereby you do it at least once a week for 3 months. So then we can say this is binge eating disorder. It has to be consistent, yes, for 3 months at least once a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But we've had cases where people eat and then they're like, "Aki nimechoka," but now the food you just want to continue eating. All right. But like you said, if it happens like once in a week for 3 months, that is now the disorder.
Like maybe occasionally. Let's say if it's during the holidays. So you know you find yourself 1 or 2 times, like 2 days eating like too much, and you're thinking, man, I don't want even to see me.
Yeah, exactly.
But that is normal. But now if you do it consistently for over like 3 months, now that's when it's
and also have
disorder.
factors like she says. We have holidays. We have something called, I don't know what the TV has done to us, because in movies we say when you break up with somebody you start eating of ice cream. So you know, like I mean overeating that normal.
And also, sorry to cut you short. Like with psychological issues, like I know of cases, like rather I've seen cases where people have gone through how do I say this, an episode. Let's say someone was raped, and so this person was raped because they looked beautiful. You know, so she's like, I don't want to look beautiful. I don't want to look beautiful. So let me eat so that at least no one can look at me because of the ordeal. So it's masking whatever they went through, like the best way they know. Others will be like, there's no one. When I eat, I feel good. So because when I eat, I feel good and I'm stressed, so I will eat more. And before you know, you're obese. You've added like excessive weight and you don't know how to stop yourself. Others, it's when I'm anxious, I eat. So I comfort myself. And so that anxiety goes, but you see it has detrimental effects on you, because you'll gain weight and it will bring complications, as she will say, or she has mentioned, of heart diseases, diabetes, lifestyle diseases, high blood pressure and the like. But it's because this person, from a psychological point of view, there's something that is underlying and they're trying to cover up, and so they indulge in food, or they go to food as their go-to comfort. Yes.
All right. So when do you need to seek help, especially for binge eating? Because like you said, yes, most of us have had episodes, binge eating, not the disorder, binge eating. All right. And you see, if you do that consistently, of course, it can lead to now the disorder itself. So when are you supposed to seek help when you realize, man, no, this is just way too much and I need help?
Okay, maybe if I can talk about all the eating disorder,
Yes.
and most of them, we have something called other eating disorder where we have picker, rumination, and avoidant restrictive, whereby these people, they have an insight, they know what they're doing, but something like anorexia nervosa or binge eating, people, they are mostly in denial. Okay.
Oh yeah, true.
They don't have that insight. For somebody, if I look at myself and my BMI is under 18, and when I say BMI under 18, it means like my BMI is, you know, like not normal. It's really low, and I see myself fat. Okay, that person is in denial. Okay, they have that misconception. So for this person to realize I really need to seek help, it's so far-fetched for them. So I think it's more of, you know, family intervention, and family therapy, whereby bulimia nervosa is the same thing. Whereby you see maybe a mother sees the daughter, they eat together, but maybe after any meal for 20-30 minutes, you cannot find this daughter, and she's inside the toilet. You see, so this mother needs to understand, I need to, you know, like pay more attention or take my daughter to a doctor. Yeah, so I think it's mostly of a family intervention, somebody
or
who's
friends,
close to you,
who's close to you. In order to notice that there's something wrong with your behavior. It's not normal. So you have to be close to your daughter or your son to notice all this.
Okay.
So most of the time, you hardly do you find someone who comes and says, "By the way, I'm bulimic," or you know, I'm anorexic, so let me seek help. That they are usually in denial, as she said. So once a parent has pointed out, like, I know, how come you eat and you don't add weight, or how come you usually avoid meal times, so you come in late. So I've noticed this behavior, and you're not, you know, you're extremely underweight. So that's when the parent can seek help.
All right. And like we said, it starts in the teenage years, so I think parents need to be very, very careful at this stage.
Yes,
you know, in the
I think
life.
all through life you should be with your child. Ideally, you should be with your child all through the life. Monitor them, be their friend, so that this way you can, you know, you can easily tell. But if you're away half the time, it might not be possible. But please let us try as parents, as guardians, as friends, you know.
Someone might be like, okay, but I work late and sometimes don't have time for my children. But I mean, even that one day that you
create
get,
time,
make sure that you do something to help.
At least even if it's like twice a week or once a week, but at least on Saturdays you can plan and spend time with your daughter, with your son, with your friend, you know. And that way you'll be able to like notice these things. Because if you stay too long, it can be too late.
Yes,
exactly.
It can be too late, because this person would be maybe too sick. You'd
and there'll be no room of, you know,
coming
back.
Room for coming back. Because we've seen like most of like the people, like celebrities, some of the celebrities have gone to a point in which it's a point of no return.
They can't do anything. All right. And what other, of course, we talked about aspects of low self-esteem and people trying to cover up, you know, something that is by, you know, binge eating or something like that. But what other conditions coexist with eating disorders in general, from, you know, anorexia nervosa to bulimia and now to binge eating? What other, you know, conditions coexist with
the common ones would be depression, like I mentioned earlier, anxiety, stress, low self-esteem, which other one? Like
basically
an image, psychological.
So it's more psychological.
And then other times it can involve some use of drugs, like drug abuse. So like the guys who inject themselves, you know, they can easily forget to eat, and so it becomes a pattern, and before you know, they are anorexic, or you know, or they are overweight because they're eating too much, you know. So
all right. And what would you say, Dr. You know, influences the progression of, you know, of the same, of all the eating disorders?
So what's happening right now, like especially with eating disorder, especially again, I'm going to talk about the first three that we've been talking about, not the others, whereby it's mostly associated with psychological disorders, or rather, yeah, it is a disorder. It's not it's a psychological disorder. Yeah, whereby like they have anxiety, they have depression, low self-esteem, self-disgust, and one point to note, especially in binge eating. In binge eating, people they will not come and eat with everybody. They will never sit down and eat with everybody. They will always, find a place, find a corner, and eat by themselves because of that self-disgust and feel that, that guilt, and feel that people they are judging them. Yeah. So I think. That's what you asked? Yeah.
Yes, like some of these factors, they would actually contribute to the same. All right, and we talked about biological and, of course, psychological, but we also have, like, environmental complications that, of course, would also influence the same. So can you take us through that?
Environmental would be maybe the things surrounding you, that's your environment, right? So if you're in a place where it is conducive to either eat more or not eat, then that would contribute to the disorder, the eating disorder. So let's say if your workplace, let's say you're a chef, and so you every other time you're cooking, you have to taste the food, you have to do before you know, you are overweight.
But then not all chefs.
I'm just giving an example. Let's say of a chef.
Yes.
And so
or even at home. I mean, you're cooking.
Or even at home, you can be tasting every other now and then before you know you're overweight. So that is one of them. Others is the social
factors.
Exactly.
Like we talked about professionalism. That is one. We talked about like peer pressure.
Exactly.
That is another one. We talk about pervasive, trends these days. We talk about, especially for teenagers when they start looking at the magazines, beauty magazine and such.
And perception.
So, exactly.
About how you should look, and yet it's a perceived misconception. They don't want to accept themselves. They want to be like a certain model. Let's say it's their role model, right? And so you think, how did she achieve this?
Yes.
So let me try ABCD. And in that way, you're hurting yourself and you do not know.
Exactly.
All right. Okay, now let's talk about some of the risk factors, to the same, all types of, the eating disorders.
Missing your menstrual cycle for like ladies, so you'd skip for a longer time. Some of the factors would be low self-esteem. And sorry, or maybe you could clarify.
Exactly. Especially
for the little bit,
and speaking of, for example, the menstrual cycle, how detrimental can this be, especially for the lady? Speaking from the medical perspective.
So
for a long time, like missing it for a very long time.
First, we start with your, reproduction system. It's gonna affect your fertility in the long run. And irregular menstrual cycle, again, it always, not just, it affects your reproductive, it affects your well-being also, it affects your self-esteem also, that hormonal imbalance also. If we talked about, I think what you asked was the risk factor for this, for this kind of condition.
Yes.
Again, we have to go back to, it's more of, how do you call it? It's not psychological per se, but it's emotional. It's emotional more, like abandonment, like maybe emotional abuse when you're a kid. It's about bullying. Maybe you're bullied in school because, you're a little bit fat, and then it really, contributed to this kind of disorder for you, to you. So it's more bullying, abandonment, maybe loss of a loved one, stress again, it does affect. And then again,
whatever issues
not healthy relationships also, you know, like those unhealthy relationships, it does affect, you know, like or rather contribute to this kind of conditions.
All right. Okay, and for the men?
For the men, they also go through the same, but now you see for the men, it's at times they don't want to show it off because of the masculinity,
which is actually worse.
Which is worse, because they're not the type to open up and say or to show. You wouldn't tell, and then most of them. Depending on the professional they're doing, they could be athletes. Like if they're boxers, they long what do you call this? They run long distances.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it attributes because of the sports. Others, even if it's racing, because it attributes whatever profession they are in. But you see, for them, they wouldn't even get to that point where they can admit.
Yes.
Unlike ladies, you know, at some point, you know, we'll point out 1 or 2 or 3 things.
Or you talk to someone and say,
yes, by the way, excuse me, I noticed. But for a guy, they'll be like, hey, that's too much. Hey, oh, you know, it's too much. So too much information.
Too much
why
emotions,
should I even tell you this is emotional?
Yeah.
You know, why should I even tell you? How do you even care about me? And why do I even want you to care about me? You know?
And again, when we go back to guys, I think like, this is through experience. Most guys, they'll be like, you know, showing your emotions is a
weakness.
It's a
sign of weakness.
Of which I think I totally disagree. I beg to differ. Like emotions is one of the strengths of a human being, right?
Exactly. Because it takes courage to show. Like this is what I'm going through, and accept me the way I'm at, the way I am, and so I think it's a strength. But now for them, they do not know that
it's a weakness.
Really, I'm not attacking them, but they should be start wearing their heart on their sleeves.
Okay, but at least
it's easier to deal with issues that way, you know.
Other than just skipping it. All right, now let's talk about the treatment. You know, for can we talk about every single because I think that's it's
I think for the treatment would be the approach would be similar. If I'm not wrong, Daktari will tell me. But you would have to work with a nutritionist, a psychologist, and a doctor.
Of course,
Yes, so that you can cover all aspects of this individual, because now they'll need someone to work with them for their diet, because of course their diet has been off. They've all either been overeating or undereating. So they have to have someone to guide them, to tell them that you have to have PVC, protein, carbohydrates, and vitamins. And you'll have to have a psychologist so that they can do psychotherapy on them to be able to deal with these issues they're facing. Let's say if it's depression, low self-esteem, whatever issues they're facing. And we'll also have to have a doctor so that, you know, as you're working through your meal plan and with your psychologist, we can see what are the risk factors that are involved with your weight, and how can you help you. And probably she can add
Doctor, you can talk on the doctor, but I'll still come to you, Faith, on now what usually happens during the psychological assessment and of course counseling.
And I think when we talk about eating disorder, or rather so many of mental disorder, we have to take off the cognitive behavior therapy. Like I think cognitive behavior therapy is the major role that plays in, you know, like how do you say it, recovering. Recovering. So first of all, it's cognitive behavioral therapy, and then whereby it need to be taken up by either the psychiatrist or the psychologist. Yes,
or they can work
both together. We have medical therapy also, of which like they have small impact, but still they have, you know, like they really help. Like in what you call bulimia or anorexia nervosa, when we talk about binge eating, when we talk about what you call rumination or avoidant restrictive food intake, we talk about these people can try them on antidepressant. That will be fluoxetine. Sometimes it does help, though like very minimally, but it does help. We can use, you know, anti-anxiety, whereby like if it's because of the anxiety, you know, like you take care of the underlying condition at the same time you're taking care of this disorder. And then when especially we talk about anorexia nervosa, we talk about refeeding. These people, they need to be refed, you know, like to get to that normal BMI, and such that whoever is working with them, be it a psychologist, a psychiatrist, nutrition, and the doctor, they need to compensate the calorie deprivation. Exactly, So if these people, as per the severity, some of them, they will need inpatient services. Others, you know, outpatient, they come, but you need to keep a close follow-up for these people. So like we have medical, we have cognitive therapy, cognitive behavior therapy, we have family intervention, you know. So
it's a
it's
team.
a comprehensive
thing.
thing. You just don't do it by yourself. You have to work with a whole team. Yes.
All right. And as psychologists, how many sessions do you have with, you know, this person, or it depends?
It depends with the severity of the case and of the individual, and how long it can take. It can take up to 6 months, a year, you know, because I have to bring you to accept where you are at.
Exactly.
So and each journey is different. So I wouldn't give you like a period of time, because it takes 3 months you'll be good. Because I saw, there's a video I saw, is it Swedish or Sweden? They have a program, a 1-year program, where you're taken to this facility, and you have, in that facility, you have a psychotherapist, a doctor, a nutritionist, and then you have your family members coming around, and then you have a support system, you know. And so they work through a whole year. These people are there for a whole year, and then they're able, that way they're able to deal with their issues. And after that, you can see a big change. So I wouldn't give a time frame to the therapy that this person would go through. And speaking of therapy, some of the ways, like she's mentioned, you do CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. So you'd work on the mind. Cognitive is the mind. So we'd work on how you're thinking, like the thought process. What are the thoughts surrounding your eating, like habits, if it's overeating or undereating. What are the thoughts? How can we deal with those thoughts? How can we counter? How can you help you to be, when we leave you alone after therapy, how do you not go back to it? How do you self-sustain yourself and be able to move forward from them so that you don't relapse? And then CBT, and then behavioral. Now your behavior around this. What are your behavior habits that have been bad, or how can we help you to improve on your behavior, you know, change, but it has to come from you. We are not going to give you the answers, please. We are not going, we're just going to help you to walk through it. So, yes.
All right. And what are the chances of relapse?
For relapse, again, it depends on that system, on the support system, If you have a strong support system, and then again, it depends on the insight, like how long is it going to take that patient, you know, like to get that insight. Okay, this is a problem, let me accept it, you know, let me embrace it, and let me take it heads on. So it always depends on the support system and the person, person.
But there's that possibility.
And then to add on, for any treatment to commence, to begin, you have to accept that this is me, this is where I'm at, these are the reasons why I'm doing A, B, C, D, and accept to get help. I will be willing, because if I continue to be in denial, there's no way I'm going to get better.
Sorry, one point I want to emphasize
briefly.
She has said, and I want to emphasize this thing. When we talk about therapy, it's not something like she has said. I'm going to emphasize on it. It's a long term. It's not like a 1 week thing, and then like, okay, I'm good.
It's a long term. You come for one session, and then you're like, okay, I'm good.
All right. Okay, ladies, thank you very much. Unfortunately, our time is up, and we need to end the show right now. But
easy.
Yes. But thank you very much for your time, and of course,
for
the
having
information
us.
that we have. Personally, have learned a lot, and I believe our viewers have also learned a lot in regards to today's topic. So thank you very much.
Thank you
And
for
of course,
having
thank you for tuning in as well. I believe you've learned a lot. And just in case you know someone who is suffering from, eating disorders, now you have the information and you can help them. But for now, we need to say goodbye. My name is Winnie Lubembe, and of course, on behalf of my entire team who made this show a success, we wish you a beautiful day ahead.